Welcome to the committee as a whole finance and administrative meeting today. Ms. Coakley, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Martin.
Here.
Sorry, my mouse isn't working. Mr. Green. Ms. Hanson. Ms. Rutherford. Ms. Fauntleroy. Mr. Harrell. Ms. Moore. Dr. Peterson. Ms. Baker. Ms. McCullum. Ms. Lamey. Ms. Hurstis. Mr. Breaux. Mr. Kuzan.
Here.
Ms. Rufino Gallagher.
Thank you, Ms. Coakley. We will dispense with the invocation and the pledge. Do I have any board members that would like to recognize anyone? No? Okay. We have one of our students who has now arrived, Mr. Rocky Valencia from North Shore High School. He is one of our semifinalists for National Merit, and I would like Ms. Langlois to go ahead and introduce him.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. So yes, Rocky Valencia from North Shore High School. He is a National Merit finalist, and he is planning to attend Tulane University and pursue a degree in engineering and physics. So thank you so much, Ms. Martin, and congratulations, good luck in NOLA and Tulane.
Congratulations, Rocky. Good job. All right. Our superintendent is now here.
Yes.
We will have your update.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Yes, today's been a crazy day. Started at Project Team West at 7:45 this morning, then to Bayou Lacombe, then to Honey Island, then to the parish council meeting, and here we are. It was a great meeting. Just to give you an update, extremely positive. Appreciate the parish council. Appreciate President Cooper giving me a few minutes of their time, and tremendous feedback from the council. So I really appreciate them allowing me the time and to be able to kind of present our capital improvement plan to them. So thank you for that. I've been able to attend a few events. One of them, we have a couple male teachers that work in the elementary middle school setting. One at Shataima, Mr. James Caruth, and another one that I just met this past week, Mr. Joshua Diggs. He works with our Lancaster students, and they both created a club that is teaching young boys how to act, how to treat others, how to treat females, how to work on manner. They go through many different lessons. And he asked me to come talk about leadership and what that looks like, and again, give my experiences. And I was able to talk to them about, me and kind of playing sports and what that did for me, and how I treat people, how I want them to treat them like my children. We went through a whole lot of different things, and they asked me how, what obstacles that I overcome through my, for those of you who don't know, I'm blind in my right eye. I was born that way. But I never told my college coaches that I was blind in my right eye. So they didn't know until I got a concussion in spring training one year, and they were checking me out, and I'm like, yeah, that eye doesn't work anyway. But I was just explaining to them that you can do anything. You can overcome anything. You can be whatever you want to be if you just will commit and don't tell anybody. But no, I just can't say enough. We have people that are out there, our employees that are sponsoring clubs, sponsoring organizations, and doing things for our kids that we don't even know about. And his club is called Magnificent Men. It is for 5th and 6th graders at Lancaster. We had 40 boys in that room that were listening, asking questions. So, and Mr. James Caruth does a very similar program that I've spoken to. And the principals, they get donations and they get pizza, and they, instead of them eating lunch with their friends, they go in at Shataima and they feed them pizza or whatever. They get donations, and they just talk about being what it's like to be a good classmate and a good person and a good friend. So it's just really cool. So I'm sorry to get on my soapbox, but just great things going on. So I appreciate them and all they do for our kids. And like I said, that's just part of it. Miss Sadlowski at Mandeville High, she has an amazing STAR program. She is providing internships to future teachers hopefully in St. Tammany. So I went and spent some time with them last week. Mr. Alfonso went and gave them the new hire packets today so that we could quickly put them to work. So she's been getting guest speakers to come in and talk. And so I was just talking about the school system and curriculum. And, you know, I was trying to explain Bessie, and they didn't like my explanation on Bessie. I don't think anybody does. But it's just governing and how, you know, the oversight. And we just kind of talked about those kind of things. But just 12 kids that most of them are pre-K through 8th grade. The majority of them are in that range. They're interning in our schools right now. So great to visit with them for about an hour and just kind of talk education. And I told them they have a job, that they have a job, finish school and they have a job. So it was really exciting. So thank you to Ms. Nicole for all that she does for those kids. Just really appreciate her. Unfortunately, on a negative note, not really negative, but, you know, Officer Candies, one of our sheriff deputies, lost his life in line of duty. And I sent something to the board members, and I tell people, things have a ripple effect. They truly have a ripple effect. Officer Candies, you know, longtime resident of St. Tammany Parish, his wife teaches for us at Lakeshore High School. Both his kids go to our school system. So it's a ripple effect. Unfortunately, the operators of those vehicles, St. Tammany Parish students. At one time, one was. The other two were, at the time, current students. So it was very difficult to be at that service. It was real difficult. But man, the turnout, I'm going to tell you, and I know Officer Swan is back there in our details, the amount of support from, you name it, across the southern states. They were there, every first responder you could think of, more motorcycles and Harleys than I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the turnout, first responders, fire, paramedics, they were there. And so great turnout, tough, very tough situation, hard to live with. But, I spoke with his wife, spoke with Courtney, and whatever we can do for them, we're going to do. So just wishing them the very, very best. But the community has really turned out. I know they got some funding pages going on, and people have really stepped up. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you very much for that. We do have a couple videos we'd like to play tonight. On April 2nd, it was Occupational and Physical Therapist Day. So just we're blessed to be surrounded by some amazing people that provide tremendous services. So if we can check out a video of those people today.
1, 2, 2, 3, go!
We make sure that the campus is set up for the student so that they can be functional and that they can be as independent as possible with their either different devices or independently.
You got it, you got it.
We try to see what it is we can do to collaborate with teachers and parents and working with the students to help them close any gaps and help them access their curriculum and just to basically help them, learn the best that they can. We focus on areas of fine motor skills, sensory processing, and self-care as well. I know what it's like to watch your child and wonder if they're meeting their milestones, and we do have resources available, and we do believe that parent education, caregiver education, and any type of resource we can provide is very critical.
It's all about inclusion and fully allowing that student to be, like I said, as independent and as functional as possible. Not just sitting on the sidelines, but fully immersed in their classroom with their peers.
We know about different medical precautions and just different areas that are impacted by certain diagnoses. And so I feel like our medical background and knowledge is very helpful in that regard. Being able to help close that gap and help families and teachers and educators, it's the best feeling, especially whenever you get to work with the kids and see the progress.
I just see them from a mother's perspective as well, just really proud for all of their hard work because I know how much work that these students do. They work twice as hard as any other kid just to do these simple tasks. So it's really rewarding when it clicks and comes together and they progress. It's incredible to see.
Yay! You did it! Good job.
We're surrounded by amazing people that have tremendous patience and do just a great service to our students. So I can't tell them thank you enough. And then last week, we hosted our exceptional games. That's St. Tammany Parish version of our Special Olympics. Students from all over the parish, plus some of our private school partners, because we are about inclusion and about bringing kids in. Tremendous crowd showed up. Students from Slaughter High supporting, students from across the district. Pope John Paul brought a big old coalition of some of their students to come cheer their kids on. And I just can't say enough about the job that Ms. Gardner, Ms. Sue, and the entire staff, our AP teachers, the teachers of these students, the paras of these students. I just can't say enough. Let's check out a little video of our exceptional games.
This is our annual Exceptional Games event. It's one of the most exciting of the year. It's where every high school in the district comes out to compete, both athletes and buddies, and they come out together to celebrate each other's strengths and abilities. The events today are the 50-meter dash, we have a javelin throw, we have a frisbee toss, a beanbag toss or cornhole, and a dance station.
To allow our students to get out here, they're in front of their family, friends, they've got fans cheering for them. They feel like the athletes do on a Friday night or, on a Thursday night, a Saturday night. And just being able to get out here and compete. Again, we've got our buddies here with them. They're school buddies. So where we're connecting our traditional students with our SWE students, we've built those relationships, we've knocked down walls, and now we're just out here supporting each other as student athletes in St. Tammany. It just goes to show you how great this school system is.
It's so amazing, they finally get what they deserve because all of them are just so sweet and just so cheerful for everyone else, and they're finally getting it back, and it's really nice.
It's absolutely amazing. All these kids, they work so hard in their APE classes, and then us as the buddies, we just love being out here. They love seeing us out here, and that we all just having fun.
It's just really so rewarding, cheering them on and competing with them. I don't know, I'm really competitive, so seeing all of them do so well, it just makes me so happy.
Again, thanks to Ms. Gardner, Ms. Sue, and the entire team. Y'all, I will remind y'all next year to come. Yes. Because one of the stations is just a DJ, and it's a straight dance-off. So that won't be me, but I recommend you check that out because you've never seen kids get after it like that, and they are having a blast. And that's just one of the stations. It's just get funky and get with it, and they do it, and they can do it. So it's just awesome to be out there and celebrate with them. And we were blessed with amazing weather that day, and just couldn't ask for a better day. So, Ms. Martin, that's all I have. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your update. Do I have any questions from board members for Superintendent Javia? All right, moving along. Next, we have our first financial agenda item, which is to adopt a resolution levying millage rates for tax year 2025 for a total of 58.24 mills. Ms. Prevost?
Good evening. I provided you with a resolution to levy ad valorem millage rates for the tax year 2025 for a total of 58.24 mills. The only change to the total mills for the school board is a rollback of 0.10 mills for the debt service millage. So that would roll back from a 13.8 for the 24 roll to a 13.7. I have Grant Sluter, our bond counsel from Foley Jadell, and Ms. Stephanie Ferry, our municipal advisor with Raymond James. They're here, and they're going to go into a little more detail about the debt service millage.
Good evening, and we will be brief, but just a little refresher on general obligation bonds and how we set the millage rate to retire those bonds. General obligation bonds are required to be approved by the voters in an election, and your next election is May 3rd. You are required to set each year a millage rate for all of your outstanding general obligation bonds, one millage rate, sufficient to pay the bonds and also to ensure that you don't over levy and collect that tax. We work with the administration in the spring of each year and review the proposed millage levy and see if it should be adjusted. And we have determined that you can adjust it again and reduce it again this year. You did last year. These general obligation bonds can be only used for capital purpose. They can't be used for operations or salaries or anything of that type. But these bonds do, by taking care of your capital needs, free up money from general fund and other revenues that you can use for operating expenses, including salaries and benefits of teachers and support personnel and so forth. So very, very important. You have, since 2001, the last 2 decades, you have gone to the voters 4 times for additional general obligation bonds. That was in 2001, 2008, 2013, and 2019. And of those 4 elections, the total authorization was $531 million for facilities, technology, and security for schools and students. When you started that in 2001, you were levying the bond millage at 25.9 mils. Every time you went out for one of these bond authorizations, you had a provision in the ballot proposition indicating no projected increase in the millage rate. You have not had, and that was for all 4 elections, and it's also in the May 3rd ballot also. You not only did not have to increase your bond millage, but you cut it in half over that time period. So you went from 25.9 mils to 13.7 that we're talking about tonight, and at the same time produced over $500 million of construction funds and funds for security and technology. So very, very important to the operation of the school system. Another question we get is, how are you able to do this every 5 to 7 years? Well, we identified 4 factors that are pretty important. One, you're retiring your debt periodically, your outstanding general obligation bonds, at a fairly quick amortization. So that helps you. And Standard & Poor's, the rating agency, has recognized that you're paying off your debt quicker than most other school systems. Number 2, you've taken advantage of refunding opportunities to refinance outstanding bond issues at a lower interest rate. You've completed the refinancing of 14 of your bond issues since 2004. That, in each and every case, it was an economic refinancing, lowering the interest rate, and all these savings have inured to the property taxpayers. Did not produce 1 cent to the school board. It's all for the benefit of the property taxpayers. This is money they do not pay. And that was over $14 million in savings. Third, increases in taxable assessed valuation. Over the last 10 years, you've had an average increase of slightly over 6%. And finally, your ability to sell your bonds at the lowest possible rate on any particular sale date. And that's attributable to your AA credit rating with Standard & Poor's. It's the highest general obligation bond rating assigned to any school board in Louisiana. You share it with a handful of other school boards. And I'll just cite to you several references in the Standard & Poor's credit report, and I would urge everyone to read the entire report. 1, historically stable finances and strong reserves. Number 2, good financial management policies and procedures. Number 3, low debt burden to the taxpayers. So this is from the National Credit Rating Agency. This report is similar to reports you've received over the years. So you've done a very good job, and the prior boards have done a good job too, keeping your financial house in order. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution? Ms. Baker, do I have a second? Ms. Lammy? Do I have any comments by the public?
Yes, Brent Osborne. I did email these questions to the East Side contingent since the West Side's playing an away game tonight. So I'll just read them out, and if we can get them answered. I think with anything these days, transparency is important, and the education piece for the public is important. So these are just some questions that I have. Is the May 3rd bond vote a bond renewal, or is it a new bond? Does the millage roll back on the debt millage that's being voted on tonight? Does it raise my property taxes, or is it revenue neutral? If the May 3rd bond issue does not pass, does the debt millage disappear? How much current bond debt is the school board carrying? And last, if the May 3rd bond issue does not pass, how soon can the board get a new bond issue on the ballot? So again, I would appreciate anybody from the East Side asking those questions. Thank you.
I'm just curious, not being in finance in any way, shape, or form, with the considering the instability in the economy right now, all that's going on. My understanding is a bond and its interest rate is locked in. Is that correct? But how does the instability from the source of that money, because you pull that money as you spend it, is that correct? Could there be any effect in what's going on with the economy or the markets or with the bond?
Any other public questions? Okay, do I have any questions from board members for either Ms. Prevost or Mr. Schluter?
Can I get an answer?
It looks like Ms. Prevost is working on something she might want to answer in a second.
Sorry, I was just figuring the debt. Right now, after the principal payments we've made this year, we have $250.8 million in debt. And we pay down one principal payment a year. And as Grant said, we pay it down pretty quickly. They're 20-year bonds. And so that's how much we have remaining. And every year we pay down probably 10, 12. Last year it was, for this year rather, it was 11.8 million a year roughly, and it goes up and down. So that would be added, the 325, as we drove those down. As far as the economy, I'd probably ask Stephanie to answer that question. I mean, it is a fixed bond, but I'll let her talk about that.
I'm not sure that I understand the question, but I will say that in the time that you've issued debt, there's been financial instability throughout. 2008-9 timeframe, there was the financial crisis. 2020, we had COVID. So there are situations that come up continually. And so when you are issuing these bonds, it is a fixed rate. The rate that you pay is, to an extent, dependent upon how the market perceives that risk. However, what happened both with the financial crisis and with COVID, rates hit rock bottom levels. We've come back up to what is more sort of the average over the past 20 years. So rates are still about on average from what you would have paid for the past 20 years. Once you sell those bonds, those proceeds go into a bank account that can only be used for the payment of those capital projects, and that is earning interest while it sits there. So, does that answer?
Thank you. Any questions from board members?
There was some other questions. Would you like me to answer those?
Sure, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
I know it's a new bond issue.
It's a new bond issue, yes.
Doesn't increase the millage.
Correct.
I don't remember the rest of the questions, but go ahead.
Yeah, The bond renewal comes, it basically you're renewing that debt service millage at the same rate. So it doesn't change. So that's where the term renewal comes from, but it's a new bond issue, a new capital improvement plan. Grant could probably address it in more detail, but it's a totally new one. And the property tax would leave us, depending on property values, we don't set those. We would, if the property values didn't change, we'd say revenue neutral, unless we roll back more. So, so that answers that question, and I think that was all of them.
Wait, hold on, please, guys. Mr. Schluter, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to remember all of them. Bond renewal has no legal significance at all, but it's additional bonds that would be authorized with no projected increase in the current millage rate being levied to pay out all the outstanding general obligation bonds. You cannot promise that there will never be an increase, because that would not be legal. General obligation bonds are secured by an unlimited ad valorem tax that every public body that has these bonds outstanding is required to levy each year within a certain range, so you collect enough, but you don't over-collect. And what we do, and we work with the financial advisor and the administration, finance, to use very conservative estimates, so it's extraordinarily unlikely we'll have to have an increase. And the proof of that is, in the last 2 decades, we haven't had an increase. Instead, we've cut it 50% and still authorized $531 million in additional construction funds. As far as if one of these bond proposals is not approved, your millage rate to secure the outstanding general obligation bonds will reduce quicker than if additional bonds are authorized. We anticipate the bond millage will go down regardless in the future, but it will go down quicker if no new bonds are authorized.
Thank you. And board members, we do have a queue. So Ms. Hanson, you are number 2, okay? Ms. Hurstis, go ahead. I just called on you a second ago.
Okay, so one of the other questions was, if the May 3rd bond issue fails, does the millage disappear? From what I understand, that's kind of a separate vote, isn't it?
He just answered that. It would
Oh, I'm
substantially
sorry.
be reduced.
It
if
will
we
be
don't have a bond
reduced,
issue.
okay. And, right, okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention. And then if the May 3rd bond issue fails, how soon can the board get the new bond issue on the ballot? I know, I thought we, Frank.
State law provides a lockout for 6 months
Okay.
before it can be brought back to the voters.
Okay. Now, my question was, I think that was all of them. Yeah, that was all of them. Now, my thing was, you were spouting off a couple of like little reasons. I was trying to write as fast as I could on some of you. So you had some good info there, and I was trying to write as fast as I could. And I didn't see anything on the, like your presentation, like a little handout or anything. Do you have that written down somewhere that maybe you could email to us? Because I would love to.
But I'll be happy to summarize that and list those items, and I'll be happy to send them out to you.
Yeah, that would be great, because I would love to share that to our
Great.
taxpayers on my Facebook page and stuff like that, because that's some great information. I'm sure our taxpayers would love to know, like, especially the saving the, what is it, the 14 million and all that. So like I said, I was trying to jot it all down.
I'll attach a sheet that shows all the refinancings, a summary of all the refinancings and the savings to taxpayers. And, you know, and the things that I covered here right now, particularly, how are you able to go back every 5 to 7 years
Right.
with additional bonds to keep your capital improvement programs going? How are you successful with that? I get that question from a lot of other school boards.
Well, and also too, how we, were able to roll back every year and things like that, like how you were saying, like we used to be at 25.9 and
Yeah,
now
I don't
we're
think
here.
you've rolled back every year.
Well, yeah,
You've
but-
done it, but you've done it
Right,
periodically over
periodically.
that time period.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah. So thank you. I would appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Glad to do it.
Ms. Hanson?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Chairwoman, just a couple of things, because I've gotten some emails regarding the bond reauthorization and just the financial details of it. As far as putting it on the ballot, we have to pay for it to be put on the ballot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
It's about $100,000 or more.
How much?
100,000 on average is what we've been paying.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly a bond election, but most of our elections are about 100,000.
The state law now requires that when we call the election, that the notice of special election include a preliminary estimate of the election cost from the Secretary of State's office. And after the election is held, the Secretary of State certifies a final cost. And in both cases, we publish both of those numbers. If you give me 1 second, I probably can pull what the preliminary estimate was from the Secretary of State. Almost invariably, the final cost is significantly lower than the Secretary of State's preliminary estimate. And the Secretary of State, when they give us that estimate, indicates that it does not take into consideration other things on the ballot and so forth, where you have a cost sharing. If you give me a second, I'll get that figure.
Okay,
for you.
I'm primarily looking at, while we can wait 6 months to put it back on the ballot, if necessary, we're then going through the whole process of having to pay for all of this as well. And then in terms of, property taxes going up, I know that, if I'm not mistaken, when everybody got their tax bills in December, many people were quite shocked because the tax rate, went up. But that wasn't due to our millage. I mean, we had reduced millages, correct?
Yes, most people rolled back the rate. The assessor it was a reassessment year, so the values of property were higher.
So because they were
That's
higher.
what made the bills go up, even though most of us rolled back. There was a few fire districts, I
The
think.
bill went high, I mean, the tax bill went higher because property values in St. Tammany Parish went higher. So therefore, we could have collected the same, could have collected at the same rate, but we rolled it back.
Correct.
So it wouldn't be as much of a tax burden.
That's what they do. They try to make you revenue neutral.
Revenue
with
neutral.
But there's always growth added to the rolls, so you get growth with that. But that was the goal, to make you revenue neutral at a minimum.
And then another point that I think it's important for us to, this funding source, as you said previously, it can only be used for construction, period.
Capital purposes.
I mean, capital improvement, I'm sorry, that's what I meant, capital improvements, which we get none from the state. Okay, and additionally, this funding source has nothing to do with our operational budget, correct?
Correct.
And that's primarily through the MFP and all of that, which cannot be used for maintenance and capital improvement. So I guess what I want to make sure that our constituents understand is that there are two different, completely different piles, pots of money. And the reason we're able to get the rates that we can on these bonds is because the way in which they manage the monies that we do already have, which are in the other pot. Is that correct? With the AA bond, that's
That's
what-
correct.
Okay.
Mainly. But they do look at the other funds. They look at other funds that impact the fund balance, like our CDL, our BP oil, those type, but mainly it's general fund.
Okay, and then, finally, to your point in terms of the interest rates, we had significantly low, 3% interest rate. I mean, goodness gracious, who would have ever thought it would have gotten that low when it did get that low? And we complain now that 7%? I'm dating myself, but when my husband and I first got married, the interest rate was 18%. 18%. So, it's not 3%, 7% is not 3%, but it's a whole lot better than 18. Anyway, thank y'all for all the information. Hope this helps our constituents.
Thank you. I just want to
Wait,
clarify.
hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second, Mr. Broke.
If I might, in the notice of special election, we insert the Secretary of State's preliminary estimate, 285,400. It's likely going to be substantially less than that, and I think that's what Ms. Terry was referring to.
Mr. Breaux.
Yes, I just want to clarify that although the vast majority of this money is for building repairs and new construction and things that need to be done on a capital improvement basis, there are some items in there, such as replacement of Chromebooks, storage for cameras and video. These things are considered capital improvement, but if we don't pay for them out of the bond, they will have to come out of general fund, which will reduce across the board. So even though it's called capital improvement, we're going to have to take it out of Hyde if this does not pass.
That's correct.
Ms. Baker?
And Mr. Breaux, that also includes capital improvement on buildings, the technology that you're talking about, but also the safety issue. So safety is a huge concern across our country and schools, and part of that money, I mean, we have to keep kids safe at all costs. So will that come out of general, if, I mean, I think it's going to pass, but if it does not pass, where we still have to provide that security, am I correct?
The board is going to have to make a decision if it doesn't pass, and this is what I've told the employees. If the public says no, there are certain things that have to be taken care of to ensure the safety and production of our students. So tough decisions would have to be made at some point in time, unfortunately, by this board and by my staff. We would have to make serious concessions, because there's certain things that just, they won't go away no matter what, so.
Can I make one point too? I get this question a lot. Employees have been asking me. We need to make it clear that these large projects, the 30 million Discovery Center, the large projects at schools would not be able to be done out of general fund. There's not enough money there. We would have to do the required things, safety and security, technology, obviously, but we could not do any large project. We have 140 million fund balance, and it's not all liquid. So, 4 projects would eliminate that. So we just can't do them,
So we could not do that and still have reserve if, like, how much was an AC unit, like something crazy for an AC unit?
Well, we have to replace those.
That's what I'm
unfortunately,
saying.
yeah.
So we can't do,
We would have to do
rebuild
it.
a wing of a school.
A wing couldn't happen. Mm-mm. But AC is something we'd have to do. That would have to come out of parish-wide, which is funded by general fund. So again, that's cutting, we would have to fund it more than $3 million to cover those type of things. You do have the BP oil money, but that would go very quickly, that you could use for safety and security. I think there's 11 million or so, 10 million left. So, but yeah, we couldn't do the large projects.
Thank you. Everybody, please vote. And that passes unanimously with 13 yeas. Next is the financial update. Ms. Prevost?
Too many calls. Okay. I'll give you a quick financial update as of February 28th. Overall expenditures are staying in line with budgets. We had a few budget lines that went over due to unexpected cost increase, but we were able to transfer from another line. But our biggest worry will be in the last 3 months. That's when, if there's going to be overages, that's when they usually occur. Our self-insured health insurance fund is doing very well, I'm pleased to report, and we are hoping to not have a deficit in that self-insured fund for this year, but that will all depend on claims for the next 3 months. If we end year with a health insurance surplus, which would be the first time in a long time, we would be able to reduce the general fund deficit with that surplus, because it has to go back into general fund. So that's some good news. Unfortunately, for the revenues, MFP revision was received in March. Due to a decline in MFP eligible students, our MFP was decreased by $3 million for the school year, so we will receive reduced monthly payments from April to June by that amount. Student membership declined by 634 students from February 1st, 24 to February 1st, 25, causing this decrease in funding. Sales tax revenue as of March 31st are at this point more than fiscal 24 sales tax to date by approximately $442,000. That's some good news. We did budget less than fiscal 24, so if those numbers hold, we'll make up some difference in the deficit there. Ad valorem tax revenues are in line with the budget. We're continuing to receive the monthly payments on the tax roll. They've been adjusted somewhat, but we're receiving as expected. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do I have any questions from the board? Ms. Gallagher?
Do you know what lines that were over, like substantial, like not like $50 or whatever? Like, what did we go over on?
One of the lines is our fingerprinting, because we had a new system. We just didn't know how to budget that. Another one is our student drug testing and employee drug testing. We have a new company, and the other company that we had before was pretty low price, and we just couldn't find anybody, so that's gone up. So we had to adjust that line. And there may be some others I can't think of at the moment. Just some basic lines that we just didn't budget enough, things that come out of the ad valorem tax that I just projected that came in a little more, but we've been able to shift. So, but the tail will be when all the payroll hits. That's going to be the key, because we have been making payroll payments and we will make some that I didn't budget. So we'll see.
Okay.
I did put a pad in there, so we'll see how we end up. June 30th be the sign.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have a question on that same line I ask about every week, or every month, should I say, the transfer for general fund, because it seemed to be going like $250,000, and last month it was like 1.5 million, I'm sorry, million, whatever.
So you're on the monthly financial, which you haven't gotten to yet.
And now it's at 3, oh, you said any question, I thought it was part of this, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Go
financial
ahead.
update, but I can
Continue.
move. Yeah.
My bad.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
That's okay. Like I said, I believe I said this last week, we set the budget for the total transfer we're going to make from general fund to the various funds. While we're waiting for ad valorem tax to come, we just do a little piece at a time. But once we get our full ad valorem, which we pretty much have most of it, then we'll go ahead and fund it fully. So parish-wide moved to the 3 million. There's a little bit over in parish-wide. You're probably seeing 3.4 million.
Right.
That happened because we had projects that should have been coded to the ESSER money, and we were at the end, so it got coded at a parish-wide. Instead of shifting it, general fund ended up taking the rest of the ESSER money to help with utilities, because you just can't spend it to the cent, but we didn't want to lose any. So we used general fund expenditures. So general fund paid back parish-wide $400,000 for projects that shouldn't have come out of parish-wide, that should have come out of ESSER. So it's just a shift. So, but most of the transfers are at 100% of the budget at this point.
Okay, that's
They
what I was
should
like.
be
that's
all
a-
of them, unless it's off $1 or so.
Right, that's what I was saying. It was just like almost double what it was last month. So we shouldn't see any more increases to that line?
No, we shouldn't, as long as, not on parish-wide for sure, but the others, haven't looked closely at all of them, but I'm assuming they're all funded. I told my staff to fund them because we did have the funds.
Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do I have any other questions on the monthly financial report, since we moved on to that?
I had a point I wanted to make on this, because this question came up, I believe, I don't remember who asked this. So last week I was asked why the general administration cost was 3.8 million more in fiscal 24 than in fiscal 25, and I did send an email to the board. It was the pension deduction that comes out of valorem taxes for all the state retirements. We're required by law to, part of our ad valorem tax goes into the state pension funds, even teachers' retirement. They all get a piece. It's like 0.0025. Comes out of property taxes statewide. So that hit in January of 24. This time it hit for fiscal 25 in February. So you'll see the opposite. It's a 4 million increase the other way. So it was just a timing. So that's what it was.
Next is the monthly purchasing report.
I provided you with that report, and Mr. Randolph is here to answer any questions.
Mr. Bro, would you like to say something?
Yes, I was just kind of wondering, last month we talked about amendment 2 of the Constitution, and we were, wondering what would we do if it fails versus what would we do if it passes? Do you have any more information? Is the state standing up and saying that they're considering any?
No, well, I believe the governor started doing freezing positions. He said there's no money in the budget. And we received email from the retirement system saying the rate that they had given us in February will hold because CA2 failed. So, yeah, for right now, I'm not hearing of any funding available. They can't touch the trust funds, which they were going to use.
The $2 billion is kind of a lockbox.
Right, so the $12 million we received for stipends last year, we will not receive, so the employees will not receive those stipends for this year.
Okay.
Unless something changes, but as far as I know, there's no money to use, and they can't use the trust funds because it has to have a constitutional amendment.
All right, well, keep us informed if there's any updates.
Yeah.
Next is our administrative update, Ms. Hart.
Thank you, Chair Martin, Superintendent Jabbia, and the board. On March 18th, we held our district discipline handbook review committee. There were a committee of 26 people, some that came from our selections and some from the Federation. We had a really good meeting. Suggestions were brought by administrators of things that could be looked at in the handbook. We had some good discussions. Some things were voted to bring to you all in May. Some things were voted to not bring it. We gave the committee members, and we gave them some more time until April 1st to give other suggestions if any others came up. And we will be having a meeting again on April 22nd to discuss those and kind of finish that up. And we'll bring that information to you in May. Maintenance and custodial, I would like to thank them, of course, like I do every month, for everything that they do. We walked out the house this morning and the humidity knocked me down, and so I called them and said, I need to know AC issues. So we're working on those AC issues. They're gonna, they're 12-month employees, so when we're off for Easter break and we're still working during that week, it gives them time to do the routine and scheduled maintenance. So I know they work hard during that time as well. Special Agent Detective Brian Brown from the Covington PD. I know a lot of you all know him. He was a special agent with the Attorney General's office. He is going to be doing 2 parent nights for us on internet safety, social media, talking about certain apps that these kids are using, touching a little bit on the signs of human trafficking, just, giving information to the parents. Those are going to be held on both sides of the parish, one on April 23rd and the other being April 24th. And I'm working with Meredith and her department. We're going to start getting information out to the parents on our website about that. We think it's something that's really important. He also goes to our high schools and talks to kids about the dangers of those things. And it's just it's so very important. And so I invite all of y'all to, come out, but we will be putting something out about that. I just want to say, again, kind of piggybacking off what Ms. Gallagher said, I want to thank all the paraprofessionals. I've worked with many over my career, and never are you just a paraprofessional. Never are you just a custodian. Because I can tell you in my time as an administrator, I couldn't do without a custodian. I couldn't do without somebody in the cafeteria. So it hurts my heart that some people still think that, but we really, truly do appreciate everything you do. We are having our blood drive at Central Office tomorrow from 9 to 3. So if any of you would like to come roll up your sleeves, that would be 9 to 3 tomorrow. But y'all are welcome. If you're listening, you can just show up and also donate some blood. So that's my update this month.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Do I have any questions from the board? Mr. Kuzian.
A while back, we had some air conditioning problems at Brock Elementary School in some of the classrooms. Has all that been cleared up?
Brad, do you want to speak to that?
It's not completely cleared up. We have a lot of leaking coils there. It's old age. I know Ms. Tipton is working with some architects to try to get that resolved.
Do we have a plan to
We do.
get it done?
Ms. Cameron can probably answer that better than I can.
Okay,
We are in the process of designing a project to replace that HVAC in the original building. A lot of that equipment is up in that attic because of it being a historic building.
okay.
But we do have portable air, and so the kids they are in comfortable temperatures.
Thank you very much.
We have
Appreciate
people there daily checking on that, so.
Thank you.
He gets a daily phone call from me if they don't.
Ms. Fauntleroy?
Ms. Hart, I was just wondering where the speaker was going to be April 23rd and 24th. Do you know the location?
It will be at North Shore High, and it will be at Lake Shore High.
Which way?
I'm sorry, North Shore High
I know.
on the 23rd.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do, we're doing Mandeville High since they have the auditorium on the
Mandeville.
24th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We're hoping to have a great turnout. That's why I wanted to, but I'm hoping it's a great turnout. Just got to get the word out.
Next, we will move on to construction.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. This evening, we have two recommendations for substantial completion. Both of these will be subject to the architect's recommendations, submission of all regulatory requirements, and approval of Superintendent Jabbia. The first one is a recommendation for substantial completion of the Pearl River High School Visitor Side Restroom and Concessions Building, and that's our school board project number P0350.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Breaux? Do I have a second? Ms. McCollum? Any comments by the public? Questions from the board? Please vote. That passes unanimously.
And our second one is substantial completion of the Slidell High School softball locker room and restrooms. St. Tammany Parish School Board project is P0349.
Mr. Breaux, would you like to make that motion?
I so move.
Mr. Kuzan with the second. Any comments by the public? Questions by the board? Please vote. And that passes unanimously.
And our construction report this evening, I did want to comment on the Slidell High School softball locker room. We were very happy to be able to turn that over to the school today, and I understand Mr. Menino was there before this meeting, and that they were able to get the team in there, and everybody's very excited, and I think it's senior night tomorrow night. So that was great. We do have the contractor for the termite damage repairs for the gym locker rooms at St. Tammany Junior on site, and he started demolition there. The Salmon High Female Sports Locker Room and Concessions Building, they've got the entry steps and ramp systems installed. The HVAC units have been delivered and set, and they're working toward being ready for inspections that should allow building power to be energized. At Fontainebleau High, the contractor is completing punch list items, and they're expecting the canopy subcontractor on site here in the next couple of weeks to finish up that scope of work. We're very near completion there for that whole project. Our final inspections have been underway for Pearl River High Visitor Side Concessions Building, and CLECO has been finishing their work supplying the permanent power to that building. The contractor for the project for Mandeville Junior Gym Locker Room renovations expects to start work on site during the upcoming spring break. Our Covington High Pro Start project, we've been in the phase where the contractor's been planning the job, doing shop drawings, ordering materials. We are planning to meet with the school administration to make finish selections so they can order those materials as well. And that project will start on site as soon as school lets out for the year. The Slidell High's transitioned over into the 1033 9th Street Auxiliary Gym and Classrooms Building. And we've been receiving quotes and planning for upcoming summer projects currently, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tipton. Any questions from board members? Ms. Hurstis?
I just had a question. I know that with a lot of this rain that we've been getting, with the Salmon, I think it's the softball field or whatever, sometimes they get pretty slushy back there with a lot of, I don't know, with the construction. I may be getting it wrong, but how are we doing with like the field and stuff like that? Is the drainage, are we doing okay back there?
For the softball field?
I think
for
it's the
Salmon?
softball. There's one of the fields or whatever back there. Do we know if we're doing okay with the drainage? Any standing
I've not
water?
heard anything relative to that. Brad may know more. He's over
Nothing?
there
Nobody's
some.
been saying anything? Yeah, I think that's what, yeah, because I remember somebody saying something about that. So, but everything's good? It's not affecting? Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Bro?
Yes, I'm kind of confused. We just voted that the Pearl River concession stand was substantially complete, but then in your report, you said something about the electrician has to come in and.
Yes, sir. So we bring the substantial completions before the board, and you did notice when it started that it's pending and subject to all the regulatory requirements and what have you. We're very close to being complete. The fire marshal actually was out there earlier this week and just has to come back to see the electricity turned on. There was more work that CLECO had to do to get their line pulled in, but that's happened. So all they lack is just the final inspection from the town, who's been coming out regularly throughout the job, as well as the fire marshal coming back one more time.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kuzan?
Do we have a completion date on that project at St. Tammany?
I believe it's right there at the beginning of the school year.
So we won't be able to use it, won't be able to get into it until next year?
Yes, sir. This is the locker rooms. We are still using the gymnasium proper.
I know that.
Okay.
I'm just wondering on the uses in the locker room. Okay.
No, it'll be a little while. We're having to take the entire roof structure off and rebuild that, and then put all of the
I knew it was a
conduits and
big
what have you
job.
back in place. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McCollum?
Thank you, Chair Martin. Appreciate that. At Fontainebleau High, the 3 buildings right in front of the library, are we still planning to move those?
We will be. Those are single classroom modular buildings.
Right.
And we're determining where to move them, but we do plan to move them out.
Okay, do we have a time that we're going to do that? Or that's pending?
It's pending, but
Okay.
soon. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We're hoping to repurpose those buildings while we're doing if the voters allow us to do that. We're hoping to use those buildings as temporaries while we build. So we're trying to work on where we can move those temporarily to take full advantage of them rather than having to rent more buildings, and that will cut money off of our construction costs.
Okay, I understand. I'm just ready for it to look really nice across the
Yes,
front.
ma'am. We're all excited for that.
Thank you, Ms. Tipton.
Thank you.
Next, we have the approval of minutes for the committee meeting held on March 13th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Mr. Green? Do I have a second? Ms. Hanson? Do I have any comments by the public? Comments by the board? Questions? Everyone, please vote. And that passes unanimously. Next is Superintendent Chabia.
Good evening again, board members. Thank you for a few minutes of your time. First off, as you open up this attachment for this part of the presentation, I have attached, actually, Ms. Coakley has helped me attach, the organizational charts for our school system, for central office and some of our satellite offices. So I've tried to provide that to you guys so that you could get a clear understanding of where we are and what's going on right now as far as staffing is concerned in central office, what's considered central office, and our satellites. So I hope that is useful. That has been made available to the public also, so that, and it will stay on board docs if anybody needs to pull that up and review it. If you have any questions, I'd love to be able to answer those. So just give me contact me and I will sit down and we will talk about that. But tonight I bring to you restructuring. I want to start off, a lot of times, offhanded jokes and comments are made about central office and staffing, and different things are posted that people find very, very comical. There's no part of this entire process that I find comical. These are people's positions and jobs that have done a tremendous job for this school system. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to kind of run through some of those things and where we are currently at this time. But I come to you tonight to kind of go through a couple of things with you. First off, this is a copy of basically my organization chart, directly, people that are report directly to me. So it's the 4 assistants, of course. It's our chiefs that you see there. It's our 2 internal auditors, and it's Ms. Coakley, our secretary. This is a formula that's worked very well for us. It's a whole lot of support has been given to all of our offices, our sites, our schools, our parents. But what this board has asked me to do is take a deep dive into everything. So I promised you that I would do that. And tonight I bring to you the deep dive I've taken into this. I'm going to go through and I'm going to get in the weeds a little bit with some of these positions. These positions were attached to people. Of course, I'm not going to terminate people. I'm not going to remove people from positions. But through attrition and through vacancies that have occurred, I told you that I was going to evaluate every single position that comes available to do everything I can in my power as superintendent to provide you guys with as much leeway as possible to give our employees every penny that we could possibly do. And that's what I've done. So tonight I'm going to talk about some things that we're doing in our school system and some tough decisions that everyone sitting in front of you has made and that I have made. So this is our current structure the way it is right now. Starting on July 1, we're going to shift that structure. This is tough. Again, these are tough decisions. These are situations where, I have people that have been in positions who have worked their tails off. Ms. Hart being one. It's a tough conversation. Ms. Hart and I had some really tough conversations. Mr. Alfonso and my entire staff, we've had some tough conversations because these jobs, you just don't snap your fingers and they get done. If you pull up Ms. Hart's, what she oversees right now, the department she's oversees, and what Mr. Alfonso oversees, it's a lot of very technical and very important positions and decisions that have to be made. But I was willing to take a hard look at what we're doing and give it a shot. So that's what I'm bringing to you. I'm taking a chance. I have to be able to run the school system. And I've tried to explain that. A lot of board members have asked me about different positions, whether it be supervisory positions, director positions. Why is this the way it is and why is it spelled out like it is? It's because we have very important jobs to do that impact a lot of people. And you can't just make half-hearted decisions. Decisions sometimes, you guys get mad at me sometimes maybe because decisions may take a little bit longer, but there's a lot of pieces and parts that come back to a decision. When we make a decision, it impacts the entire district. It doesn't impact just, for instance, say Salmon High School. It doesn't just impact Mandeville High School. It doesn't just impact Whispering Forest. When we make decisions on how things are run and the way administrative policies are laid out, the ripple effect that I talked about a few minutes ago ripples all the way through the entire system. So things have to be carefully considered and done. And sometimes that takes some time because we can't get it wrong. Do we make perfect decisions? Absolutely not. But I have to make very informed decisions and think about the consequences above and beyond what maybe other people are considering. And I take advantage of all these people sitting in front of you and the knowledge they bring to me. So what I'm bringing forward tonight is to talk to you guys about replacing Ms. Hart's position and combining the services of HR and admin into one team. It's going to cause Mr. Alfonso to have a lot on his shoulders. And as I spoke about, all the departments that will fall under Ms. Hart's current staff and Mr. Alfonso's staff, it's going to cause them to have to provide a whole lot of support. And Steve's going to have to go through, I'm going to have to go through with the help of this entire staff and really think about what we're asking people to do, where we can shift some things, where we can move some things, where we can get supports from other people that may have some time and may not have some time. We may have to create some other responsibilities inside of overlapping departments, but I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to make some hard decisions. I'm willing to give it a shot and see what we can do. So you'll see in just a second. So what I'm proposing to the board is that, and the job description is in front of you, is to move Mr. Alfonso to an associate superintendent under me. He would take on 2 departments inside of one responsibility. It is a $15,000 difference in pay for Mr. Alfonso, and I'm not trying to put him on the spot. I told him I was going to do that. So, but at the same time, it's the elimination of an assistant superintendent. So it's saving the school system $150,000. But with that comes a tremendous amount of responsibility. Steve has been a huge teammate of mine, along with all of the people sitting in front of me, and he's willing to do what he's got to do to help out the school system and to do everything we can to meet the needs of our constituents, families, the students, and our employees. So this would be the new new restructuring of my direct team. So that's what it would look like come July 1. This would not take effect till July 1. So we'll get to it in just a second, but the job description is attached there. That has to be the first part of the process. If this board approves that job description this week, this Thursday and next, then we would move forward and the associate superintendent structure would be added back to the salary schedule that this board would then vote on at that time. So both of those have to be approved by you guys. The restructure is, of course, mine, but the actual pay structure has to be, and the job description has to be approved by this board. So that's why I'm bringing it to you this time. With that being said, I want to run through, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I have initials there just so I could explain to you guys what I and this team have done to free up financially what we could do to help out this school system. So it's been, we've redesigned Channel 13. These amazing specialists that we have here, this publication specialists that we have, from Brett to Grant to David to Rob, that run these cameras behind us in Mayor's department. But Channel 13 was created way before my time. I was still in the classroom when it was created. We had to reimagine Channel 13. And the staff knows behind me. When you look at early 2000s to where we are right now with YouTube and some of the other things that are going on, there were things we provided for a long time, like, for instance, covering some ball games. We used to cover a lot of district ball games, and we would highlight the different teams. But now with Game Changer and all of our stuff being available to parents, that was an expense that could be removed. So we reimagined Channel 13. When Miss Melanie, Dr. Menard retired, I eliminated her position and gave Miss Mendez the oversight of both communications and our St. Tammany Parish TV. 2 of our production specialists retired. They were 2 amazing guys. You guys recognize them here. We miss them terribly. But again, I had to remove responsibilities off of the team to make that all happen, and that was something that we did. We've removed, through attrition, through retirement, 3 central office secretaries from the staff. Miss Belinda Pennison, who's here with us tonight, when she was promoted to director to replace Miss Niehaus that retired, I did not replace Ms. Pennison's position. So that is the supervisor of human resources. The assistant director of students with exceptionalities, Ms. Gardner, and I worked together to take away one of the assistant directors when Ms. Landry chose to leave the school system, exit the school system. That was a position we did not fill. It's going to be a board decision. Mr. Incaprera will be retiring on June 30th. So he is one of our internal auditors. And so he will be retiring. So the board is going to need to consider what you guys want me to do. We have Ms. Amelia Barker, who is an internal auditor right now. My recommendation to you guys would be to let it sit for a year and let's see and evaluate Ms. Barker and see where she needs help and what that looks like and what we need to do. And then I would bring it back to the board, but that is your decision. That basically this board created that position. So I will let you guys, we'll weigh in on that, and however you guys would like to proceed, we'll absolutely do that. So that would be your position, your decision to make. Our health and safety coordinator, Ms. Neely Estrad, she is going into private practice, so we want to wish her all the very best. She's a tremendous person with tremendous knowledge, and St. Tammany Parish Health Systems they have a clinic, and she's going to be working in that and taking part in that clinic. So what we're going to do, we need somebody to oversee our nurses. We're going to reduce that from a 12-month employee down to a 10-month employee because our nurses are 9-month employees, but they do work some summer school. So we're going to have some overlap there so that we can make sure that we're covered for our summer school sites that we have on site. Mr. Ron Randolph was here tonight. I don't know if Ron's still here. But there he is, and Mr. Ron's here. So Mr. Ron, as you remember, he moved over and he is supervising our purchasing department now. So with us being able to move Mr. Ron and him accepting that position, we were able to eliminate Mr. Ron's previous position of payroll supervisor. So we removed that position. So again, a lot of difficult decisions were made. And then, like I said, Ms. Hart, I want you to I don't ever want an employee to feel like or get the impression that the job they were doing is not necessary and valuable. It's just there's a lot of pressure on me as a superintendent, and I'm being very, very honest. You guys have put a lot of pressure on me to take a hard look at everything, and I'm trying to do that. I'm willing to think outside the box, rely on these amazing people in front of me, but we have to try. We have to try. That position, Ms. Hart's position, has been there for a long time, as Mr. Kosei, and basically Mr. Brady did that position for a long time. So I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try and see if we can get it done. I just don't want our services to be diminished and there to be a lack of service. So to Mary, Mary's given us 30 years, so thank you to her. And I don't ever want her to feel like that her position was not valued by me. So I just want to make sure she knows that. Again, I want to restate that what I'm asking for is to reevaluate that position, move Steve to associate superintendent, put him in charge of 2 distinct departments. With all the things that I'm talking about, there's some other things that are not central office related, but I have oversight on. We've eliminated $2.345 million from what's considered central office. And with the help of these people sitting in front of you, we've taken a deep dive. Steve, as we have discussed that we've gone out and done allocations to every school, to every site. Dr. Langlois, Ms. Hart, Ms. Gardner took a deep dive. There's a lot of, you heard earlier about, state, federal funding, a lot of those conversations. We have been proactive with Ms. Gardner's department with federal programs. We do not want to put this system in a bind to where we commit monies that are federal monies and then the federal government at the last minute back out on us, and then this general fund has to eat employees. That's not right. So through attrition, through vacancies, Ms. Gardner and her team took a hard, deep dive into open positions for next school year, and we have paused. We have pulled those positions back. We're evaluating the federal funding and what that's going to look like, but I do not want to guarantee a position, tell an employee you have a position, and then federal funds be pulled away, and then we're stuck. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, they have to be paid. So I don't want the general fund to be stuck with paying salaries that we had not. And I should, and if I can do anything about it, we're going to do it. So we took a deep dive at all that. And then again, Ms. Prevost has been very gracious with her department. We've reallocated and we've taken a hard look at her staff and utilized her people and some new hires that are extremely talented, that were able to assume some other jobs that could not be assumed previously. So she's helped me take a deep dive. So as a staff, we're not finished. We've cut over 80 positions. We, at this point, have saved the district, including projected salary, benefits, health insurance, $6.426 million. That right now is saved for next year. Again, these are not easy decisions, y'all. This is not something where I can just take a pencil or pen and just say, okay, we just won't have that, and we won't have that. It's not that easy. These are people. These are human beings. This is not a spreadsheet, okay? These things are attached to people's names. So deep conversation was had. We are, as Steve has told, we are evaluating every situation. As we see enrollment at schools, if something needs to be added, we will advertise another position. As we need to do what we have to do, we will advertise another position. But we're not going to add anything that we don't have unless we have to add it. As you heard Terry say, MFP funds, we're down about 650 students in a year's time. A lot of that is homeschool. A lot of that is decisions of parents choosing another way to educate their kids. And as I'm going to provide you guys with the bond presentation next week that I've been given to the schools. So you'll get a chance. Most of the board members sitting up here have heard that presentation. But we've got to think outside the box. We've got to do some things that we need to do to work on what we need to work on. But as I said, we're down students. So we have to think globally what we have to do to save the district money and to get in line. And we want to maximize this spring in negotiations. We want to maximize the ability to afford our employees a pay raise. That's what it comes down to. I know you guys have all backed me. We've had those conversations. Y'all are committed. I'm committed. And I just wanted to do my part to say I've tried to free up as much capital, as much as I could for you guys to feel better about your decision and what needs to be done. So that's the restructure plan. Ms. Martin, I'll answer any questions or however you want to handle that.
Thank you, Superintendent Javia. First, we will take questions from the board about his transition plan and then move on to the job description. Any questions? Ms. Lammy?
I know, that was quick. I just wanted to say thank you. I know that this is a very difficult thing, and it makes me sad to even think about Ms. Hart not being here. But I also really appreciate, we're expecting everyone to do this, all departments. So leading from the top and you doing the same thing. I do understand that as we go through the year, if things change, that you'll come to us and talk to us about what needs to be added back. But I think this should show everyone your dedication to trying to do what we need to do so that we can better support our teachers. And I'm just thankful for all of you leaders up here because I know how much you do. Just the small amount that we do, I'm like, so thank y'all.
Thank you,
because without you, it would not be good. So thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Lammy.
Ms. McCollum?
I would ditto what Ms. Lamey says. I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job, Mr. Javia. You have as well. And what I do know from working in a curriculum specialist position where I was very closely working with people in your positions and the supervisor positions as well, and as a principal, and that was almost 12 years ago, you know, what I do know is that these people, as time has changed and mandates have changed from the State Department and from Bessie, they have to do, I mean, daily report after report and to the state, and this report and that report, and it's due now, and it's due, they tell them one day, and it's due 2 days from now. And that's things that we as individuals don't know, and I can't imagine what it's like now, because, you know, when I was still a principal, the, you know, school performance scores and district performance scores and all that we have to be concerned about, because the public is concerned about it, is that, you know, it was a lot simpler process at that time, and now it's become even more complicated. And, you know, just being able to try to figure out what their formulas are is like a massive undertaking. So none of us know the daily tasks that they have to do. And I'm with Ms. Lamy. I truly appreciate, because I know by doing this, you guys are taking on a lot more work for this to happen. And I just appreciate all of y'all for doing that. You know, I just know that you guys are gonna be doing a lot more work, and the only way for this to happen is for that to happen. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. Mr. Javia, for doing this as well. You guys are truly to be commended. Thank you so
Ms.
much.
McCollum. Thank you very much.
Ms. Hurstis?
Thank y'all for doing this. Oh, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. No, I really do appreciate y'all going through that, and doing that. It had to be hard, a lot of digging and everything, and then making those decisions. Yes, Ms. Hart, we'll miss you. Especially the paperclip. And Ms. Alfonsi, you gonna be able to handle all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I know that's some more. So I appreciate you doing all this. Which chart is now the new updated one? Because you have a couple of them here, and I see like the one like right underneath you, but like the whole structure. Which one is the updated whole structure one?
Everything's right. Has everything been updated on there, Christine?
But that's just underneath
Fine.
Frank, right? But the whole structure, because you have like a couple of
I
PowerPoint
think it says
presentations,
vacancies, doesn't
but
it? Yeah.
yeah, okay. When,
Yeah, so, yeah, it will
oh,
be there
oh,
by
okay.
June 30th. I will fix and remove the vacancies or whatever there is vacancies.
Okay.
I tried to update some of the ones that were vacancies and what's been available. Some of them, like HR and them, should be correct with Ms. Pennison's position not there.
Okay.
But I'll double check all those.
Yeah, because I know
and give it
you
to
said like you have, once we get that updated, I guess in June or whatever, can we get that forwarded
Absolutely.
to the?
Job description approved, I'll work on.
Absolutely.
Right. I know we have to do all that. And then also the 80 positions that you said were eliminated, could we get a list of those 80 positions?
I'll get them to you. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
yeah.
It's at all levels, so yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And then also too, because I know, like Ms. McCollum had said that there's a lot of, now y'all, some people are going to be actually doing a little bit more, just like Mr. Alfonso. Is there going to be different pay structure for any of those people?
No, ma'am.
They're going to be doing?
No, ma'am.
No, just
have
Mr.
all-
Alfonso?
Every one of the people sitting in front of me said they will do whatever it takes to pick up any slack. Melissa's offered to take some of the overlap from Mary's that relates to C&I and maybe some timesheets and things that Mary's been.
Right.
So everybody's willing to pick up therein. Ms. Prevost, like I said, she's got a couple people that are new hires that are extremely talented, and they volunteered to pick up some of the slack that
That's awesome.
And so everybody's willing to pitch in, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, I appreciate, and people that aren't here that are picking up the slack, so I appreciate them doing
Everybody,
that.
everybody's got a lot on their plate. Everybody.
Yeah.
No, everybody has more than they've ever thought they would have on their plate.
Wow. Well, I appreciate everybody that's doing that. Yeah, include, like Ms. Leamy, I just heard her say, including teachers, everybody that's doing that. And again, I appreciate everybody doing the overhaul. So thank you so much.
No problem.
President Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just looking at the org chart, I just wanted to make clear, are Terry, kind of the CFO, CIO, they're not reporting to Kim, right?
No, it's just the way it falls down. No, Christy helped me the best she could. And also, it's just, she had to arrange them on there. It was very difficult to do. And so, no, that's, everybody up there reports directly to me. All those people, I do their evaluations. They report directly to me.
Yeah, I've
And
tried
there's
to do
no-
org charts.
Our
and
chiefs,
you
and
did
even though
beautifully.
Meredith is orange, our chiefs are chiefs. So I want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. It's just the way it had to fall out on the sheet. So, yes.
Good luck with all that, Kim.
Christy's trying to get me straight. I'm tough, but she's trying to get me straight. She's trying to get me straight.
Ms.
So,
Hanson.
Thank you. And I do appreciate your restructuring all this. And I do wish the best for all who have taken on all the added responsibilities. Ms. Hart, I will very much miss you. I've worked with you many years. So I will miss you. Having been a supervisor at central office and during COVID at that, well, prior to COVID and then at COVID and then retired in 2021, no one can possibly understand the amount of stuff that comes through across your desk as a supervisor, not to mention what comes across y'all's desk. So I thank you for doing this and all the sacrifices you're going to make. I will say this. I think one of the ways in which you help the people, unfortunately, it can't be these people up here because of your job titles and your responsibilities, but I noticed at the committee as a whole meetings that all of the supervisors are not mandated to stay the whole night. And I think that's something you can't give a pay change to, but it is something that they're not here, and it flip-flops between admin and curriculum. That is something that's time. And I remember many nights sitting at board meetings late when I was a supervisor. So while that's a free thing that you can give them, so that they can go home and continue working on the stuff they've been working on all day. And the last thing is, this is just for the general public. We are not going to be adding any new positions to in admin or management or anything like this. And again, I do want all of our employees to know that we do want to find the funds, and you're doing whatever you can to give the pay raises. We certainly can't give what everybody deserves because everybody works so hard. But this is a good faith effort to really do what we can, even though a lot of people have to pick up a whole lot more. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Yeah, to Ms. Hanson's point, so we flip-flops for the public. We flip-flop the meetings at half a year so that supervisors who are in the early window can get home and they're not required to stay the whole year. So that was just one thing Christy and I talked about, and it was, and Mr. Harold did too, because it seemed like the maintenance guys, and they're the first one on the job a lot of times as far as employees. Early in the morning, they were here with us, and there were certain supervisors that always had to stay to the very end, but yet they had to be there first. So just trying to be fair to everyone, and to Ms. Hanson's point, it was a great idea to do that so that we could get people out of here and get home or get to where they need to be. So,
Mr. Kuzan, look alive.
I think that with the unpredictability that we have at the federal and the state level, I think this is something we have to do. I know it's going to put a lot of burden and additional responsibilities on other people. But right now, we're in a position that we don't know what's going to come down from the federal and the state level. And I think this is a great way to protect our assets, what we're doing. I want to thank you, Mr. Jabier, and your staff for putting this all together. I just don't hope that, I hope that we continue to evaluate this so that we don't overwork certain people in different positions. I just think it's something that we have to do. It's because of the way things are now, we all of us here understand what's going on. So this is something that has to be done, and it kind of looked like we're on the front edge of it right now, you know? Better doing it now than wait until it's forced upon us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuzan. Do I have a motion to bring the job description of Associate Superintendent to the floor? Mr. Green, do I have a second? Ms. Hanson? Do I have any comments by the public on the new job description?
Good evening again, Board. Brent Osborne. I wanted to thank Superintendent Jabier for taking a hard look. Obviously, the Federation for several years and board members for several years have kind of wondered about this. Some board members were part of that vote in February of 2021 when the size of central office was expanded. This was from the article in the paper. It said, Superintendent Jabier said the move was essential to regaining the level of success achieved in previous decades when the St. Tammany District was annually ranked among the top 2 or 3 best in the state. So we just haven't produced numbers-wise. So I like the move of consolidation, and not to get all doge on you, but basically it is a spreadsheet. The budget is a spreadsheet. You don't have to terminate people. Think about the number of positions open in the schools, involuntary transfer at the same salary rate, you're still going to save money. We've got to be aggressive with this.
Mr. Osborne, do you
Yes.
have comments to be made on the job description specifically?
I absolutely do. I think it's great to consolidate, and I support the move. I'm just saying, board, please take a harder look at this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by the public? Questions from the board about the job description? Ms. Gallagher?
My glasses on. While I totally know that this is going to go to Steve, I would just ask that you put him/her or his/her in there, just in case somebody else has to get it after he decides to retire, that it is not just a male job. Just saying. That's all I have.
You got it.
All right, would everyone please vote?
While y'all are voting, I'm just going to say one thing real quick. So Mary and I had this little inside joke. So when she calls me after hours, normally very late at night, when my phone rings and it says Mary Hart, I always say, this can't be good. And Mary's comment to me is, you can't make this up. So, so just a little humor.
Frank, she doesn't call me at odd hours, but when she calls me, I'm like, this cannot be good.
Yeah, that is what Mary's like, I hate you say that every time I call.
And that passes unanimously. Next, we'll have our public comment section, 3 minutes. Ms. Stephanie Underwood, please state your name when you come up to the podium, please.
Stephanie Underwood, Executive Vice President of the St. Tammany Federation. I do also want to say thank you for looking at this. I know that wasn't easy, having a master's in business. I know about staffing and stuff like that, and so I know that's not easy, rededicating. But it has been talked about from the board for years now about cutting low-hanging fruit and stuff like that. And I like to see the product. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, Brent Osborne, teacher. Call this piece The Lion and the Goat. Superintendent Gail Sloan, who Lee Hicks called the GOAT, the greatest of all times, and Miss Elsie Burkhalter, the Lion of the St. Tammany Federation of Teachers and School Employees. She will remain the greatest Federation president, past, present, and future, our local will ever have. My first superintendent and my first union president. Both women, powerful in their own right, both teachers were charter members of the St. Tammany Federation. At first, our organization only represented teachers, but through collective bargaining, eventually all employees were covered. When we were #1 in the state, we had a guaranteed curriculum created by local talent and a collective bargaining agreement negotiated locally by management and the Federation and approved by the board. Sadly, we now rely on vendor-created curriculum, and the clock is ticking on Miss Elsie's legacy, the CBA. Ms. Gale has since passed away, and the board honored her by placing her name on the school she once led as principal. Ms. Elsie has also passed. The woman who had been a lion that led work stoppages and protests and campaigned hard to remove board members who opposed collective bargaining in her early days was brought low by a debilitating illness in her later years. The old-timers, including Ms. Mona Ikamina, have told me stories of the past, including the night Ray Alfred, District 14, and Mr. Ron Randolph, a board member and a central office staff member respectively, made sure Miss Elsie was taken care of after a school board meeting when she couldn't remember how to get back home. Time could be so cruel, even to the greats and the saints, yet our district is blessed with the rich legacy left by both these powerful leaders. In fighting for the causes and people I love, I have developed a streak of anger that runs as deep as the San Andreas fault line. And thinking of these two icons looking down at the current state of affairs in St. Tammany, part of me thinks they are rooting for the Federation. Really, though, in my teacher heart, I think Miss Gale and Miss Elsie are rooting for all of us to come together in defense of our public schools and in support of the teachers, school employees, and administrators who serve the students of our great parish. And I so move. Amen.
Mr. Alaudet. Waves, all right. Announcements by our board president, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There will be a special meeting on Tuesday, April 8th at 4:30 for expulsion appeals. It will be at Shane. And the April 10th board meeting will be held here at 6 p.m., Brooks Educational Complex in Slidell.
Ready.
Can I just say, I fixed this sheet. Y'all no longer report to Kim.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.